Okay, students, today we shall start The Great Escape, Lesson 4. This is written by Shugata Bose. Shugata Bose was son of Shishir Bose and grandnephew of Subhash Chandra Bose, whom we know very well and we call him as Netaji. Generally, escape is a matter of shame, but the escape that Subhash Chandra made was a great one because he escaped from his motherland for a noble mission. What was the mission? The mission was to free India from the British bondage. So, this type of escape is not a matter of shame. I think this type of escapes are a matter of pride, and the escape that made Subhash Chandra was the greatest escape in the world and in the history of world. Let us know what was the escape. Escape. What is an escape? Escape means to run away by giving up a task or any task. It is generally a cowardice work, but there are escapes that are great. Such escapes are made for a noble mission. In lesson 4, you will learn about such an escape. You all know that you know about the freedom fighters of our country and our Bengal as well. Subhash Chandra Bose was such a great freedom fighter of Bengal that the whole country respect him. He escaped India, befuddling the British government, the then ruler of India, for a grand mission to free India from the British bondage. In this lesson, you will learn the story of his escape. Subhash Chandra Bose. You all know the biography of Subhash Chandra Bose. His courage, strong leadership, iron determination, heroism, indomitable patriotism offered him the title Netaji. In 1941, when he was in home imprisonment, he fled away in disguise. His nephew Shishir Bose helped him a lot. Shishir also supplied him outward news and acquainted him with the world politics. Actually, Shishir was very good in operating radio. So, he visited regularly Subhash Chandra and operate his radio and to help him to know the foreign news, foreign political news. Now, here is Subhash Chandra's life at a glance. You know everything, but here is a reminder for you. Why Subhash Chandra is so great? He still lives in our mind, in our heart. First, look here date of birth 23rd January 1897. Just you have celebrated his 126th birthday and he completed 125th year. Birthplace Cuttack, Odisha. His parents, Janakinath Bose, was an eminent lawyer, and Prabhavati Devi. In his childhood, Subhash Chandra was very much influenced by two persons. One of those two persons is Prabhavati Devi, his mother, and the other one was the principal of or the headmaster of Ravenshaw Collegiate School of Cuttack. His schooling, Ravenshaw Collegiate School, from where he passed the entrance examination. In the entrance examination, he stood second. He was a brilliant student. Then, higher education. At first, he took education from Presidency College, but from here he was rusticated. It is believed that he was rusticated for a false case, false allegation. Then he got admission to the Scottish Church College, and from here he flew over to UK. In, a, in UK, he studied in Cambridge University and became an IAS. He was so brilliant that he got only 8 months to complete his course in IAS and stood fourth. But in 1941, in 1921, he returned from UK but did not take any government job. His activities, what are the activities that made him so renowned, so remarkable? Returning India, he joined non-cooperation movement under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi in 1921. He was a great follower of Chittaranjan Das. He was youth educator, journalist, and commandant of the Bengal Congress Volunteers. He became mayor of Calcutta in 1930. When the election of the mayorship was taken place, he was in jail. In spite of being in imprisonment, he won and he was elected the mayor of Calcutta. He became president of Indian National Congress in 1938 and 1939 in 2 consecutive years. In 1939, he formed Forward Bloc. At this time, there was a conflict between the two groups of Indian National Congress. Some are in non-violent movement, some prefers non-violence, and some prefers activities with armed revolution. Subhash Chandra was very keen to take the bold activities. So he left Congress and formed Forward Bloc in 1939. After this, he was in jail several times, but he was very sick and he threatened the British government for fasting till death. For this, they released him from jail and put him in his own house as imprisonment. He was then in home imprisonment. In 1941, he left India in disguise, baffling the British guards, and from his home he first visited a place near Dhanbad. Then from there he went to Mughal Sarai. Gomo. Not Mughal Sarai, it is Gomo. From there he took a train to Delhi. From Delhi to Kabul, from Kabul to Moscow, and then finally he reached in Germany. His nephew Shishir helped him to run away from his home to Gomo. Shishir drove him in his own car and left him in the Gomo station and came back to Calcutta. After reaching Germany, he met the Nazi rulers and sought help to free India. But at that time, the Nazi Bahini was busy in the Second World War. But somehow Subhash Chandra managed to deliver his messages over radio. Adam von Trotteau-Scholz guided him to form Azad Hind Radio in Germany, and from there Netaji broadcast his speeches in regular ways in several languages: English, Hindi, Bengali, Telugu, Gujarati, Pashto, and several languages. And from there, ultimately, in May 1943, with the help of the German government, he reached Japan. He reached Japan by at first German submarine and then Japanese submarine. After reaching reaching Japan, he met the Japanese leaders. At that time, Japan was the most powerful country in the Southeast Asia, and almost every country was under Japan's rule. After Subhash Chandra reached Japan, he met the Japanese leaders and ultimately he formed Indian National Army in 1943. He collected 40,000 trained troops who were in the Southeast Asia, in the different countries of Southeast Asia. The Indian National Army was formed on October 21 in 1943. He collected funds and sought help from every Indian who are in the Southeastern Asian countries. People, the Indian peoples who lived in those countries were open-heartedly helped him, and he also formed a women regiment in the Indian National Army. It was called the Rani Lakshmi Mai Regiment. In the meantime, he attacked India. India means the British rulers of India from outside. He reached Indian soil on March 18, 1944, and moving into Kohima and the plains of Imphal. But fate was against him. In 1945, the American soldiers tested two atom bombs in Japan on 6th August and 9th August. Ultimately, Japan was defeated by the Americans, and with the defeat of the Japanese army, the Azad Hind Bahini or the Indian National Army had to retreat, and finally we got the story of plane crash on 18th August in 1945. The story of plane crash may be true or not, but Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is still alive and will remain alive in our heart. Now we start the text. First, part 1, page 31 and 32. When Subhash Chandra was in home imprisonment, he was ailing. So he looked pale and thin, beard grown bushy on my face. His nephew Shishir used to come to meet him every evening. Shishir helped him a lot to escape, and Subhash Chandra discussed with Shishir how to escape from India. In December 1940, he shot help from his nephew, and finally, on January 17, actually at deep night of January 16, in 1941, he escaped successfully by Shishir's car, German Wanderer. The name of the Shishir's car was Wanderer. It was a German-made car. At about 1:35 a.m., in the gap, Shishir made necessary arrangements and collected equipments for disguise. Shishir was an expert in operating radio. Moreover, Subhash was ill, so Shishir's visit to Uncle Subhash was very natural and nobody suspected. That night, actually, Shishir was living in Woodburn Park and Subhash's house was in Elgin Road. Now, that night they planned to drive away to railway station far away from Calcutta by car. Subhash prepared his wanderer. After long discussion about the various ways of escapes, they finally decided to drive out naturally and simply through the main gate. They decided to escape through the main gate and naturally. Why? Because in this way nobody will suspect. And Subhash was in disguise, it was very natural. It looked very natural, and there was no suspicion among the guards that are employed to have a look on the Subhash's house and Subhash's activities. A few words that you have to keep in mind, and many words are there that are new to you. You will find their meanings in the glossary of your in at the end of the lesson of this part actually. And but here are four words: intensely. It is an adverb. The adjective form of intensely is intense. It is closely or deeply or seriously. Reclining. Recline verb. From this it is made participle and it is reclining, it is an adjective. Leaning back. Residence. Noun. Verb reside. Adjective resident. Home, house, abode, dwelling place, habitation is the meaning of residence. Subdued is an adjective, verb subdue, and meaning thoughtful, quiet, gentle, calm, soft, still. Now read the first part of the text very carefully and minutely. Okay, up to this for today. Thank you.